Mushoku Tensei is really about Rudeus healing as a person, especially after his old life being so terrible and traumatic and all that. And since it's been a while since I really seen his old life and his old events like directly impacting what's happening in the story, I kind of just like forget that this theme has been going on since like season 1, you know, which I truly enjoy. And what I really like about Mushoku Tensei is how much he implement his past life into this current, you know, isekai world. Because does it not feel like with all these events, well, not all of them, but with a lot of them, it's basically like the internal purpose of these events is to kind of help him go through any problems or any like trauma that he's been avoiding, that he ran away from in his previous life, and like now with his new life he has to tackle the problems on head first and actually grow as a person and overcome his obstacles, his issues that he had in his previous life. Very, very interesting. I really enjoy that element in Mushoku Tensei. And of course this episode, it was just blatantly clear that that's like the whole purpose of it. Like of course it's about helping his sister, saving Norn and understanding her and how she feels. But at the same time, it goes back to Rudeus in his past life and when he went through the similar situation, especially seeing it from a perspective of his big brother, and his big brother was trying to save him and help him. So like not only does he has Norn's perspective, he also currently sees the perspective of when someone else was trying to save him, which helped him grow a lot after this episode. Because look in the beginning of this episode, right, when he heard that his sister didn't show up to class, right, like he was spazzing out because he basically started projecting based on his experience that like someone, like there's like a target that is like purposely trying to ruin her life, because that's what happened to him. In his eyes back then, everyone was against him. So he kind of just assumed and projected that out when he found that his sister's going through like a similar situation as him. And now since he has like an outsider perspective of all this, and also the fact that he's not alone, where he has others that could like help him in this situation too, he has time to like reflect on his own actions on what he decided to do back then when he decided to be a shut-in and not go outside and stuff. Also when he reflected on his brother trying to save him and he just decides that he doesn't understand me and he just ignored him. And of course you could see that in the imagery when he opened Norn's dorm room, and when he opened the door, first thing he saw was himself, or at least his old self, in the room. And I guess it's kind of like showcasing potentially what his brother was seeing when he was the one that was the shut-in at the time. But now let's dive into like Norn's perspective of everything. It makes a lot of sense. I really appreciate that they went back in time to showcase like Norn's point of view of everything and why she feels this way and what kind of led up to this moment, because it's understandable from her perspective, right? If the first thing you've seen from your brother is him beating up your father, it's like, how else are you supposed to feel about him, especially if that's your first impression? It's crazy, right? Like that, especially as a child, that's almost traumatic. Like that's like almost traumatizing, seeing your own father getting beat up like that. And then the fact that she pointed out that the next time she sees him is when he's looking all happy while his father is like out there searching for mom and, you know, going through all types of adventures and dangerous missions, which seems like Rudeus is like separated himself from the family and doesn't want to really be part of anything, at least in her eyes. That's what it seems like. And then she mentioned this whole like fear element as well, where I guess because she's seen that Rudeus has the ability to like beat her father's ass, you know what I'm saying? I guess from seeing that is like, I believe she just assumed that the reason why that happened is because like he like defined him and their father like kind of disagreed or says something he didn't like, which caused him, well, he did say something he didn't like, but I guess she was just thinking that he has like a short temper and he could like spaz out at any time. That's why she feared him. It's like she said, she was afraid to be thrown out, so she thought her only option was to be in the dorm. Because look at the scene when he agreed that she could be in the dorm. We got the internal monologue that she thought that he was gonna be mad at her and be angry. So like based off the first impressions of seeing him, she just assumed that he was just naturally an angry person in general, which explains a lot of how she carries herself and how she decided not to really showcase much emotions or show basically being stoic for the most part, because she's afraid of like Rudeus being angry at her. But it seems like in her eyes originally, it seems like she's afraid or mad at him because she thought that he doesn't like her either, which is funny. I don't know. I don't see where she could think that Rudeus doesn't even like want anything to do with her or doesn't like her at all. It seems like that's what she believes. But now on to the whole being in school and always being compared to her brother. Now that is an interesting element as well, because it's like no one really cares about her and who she is. It's really just all about her brother. And it's like and if it's like a person who she believes doesn't really care about her that much, or is like a person you're afraid of, then it's like in her head is like, I'm nothing like him. I don't want to like be like him, because in my eyes he's like an angry person that doesn't like me, I guess, you know. That's why she kept saying like, I don't want to know about him, or I think that's what she was saying. But yeah, this episode like really helped me understand a lot about Norn as a character. I'm glad she was able to like reflect too and try to understand why others have high praise for her brother. She has the ability to like reflect and try to understand herself and I guess others as well, which is great. And of course the opinions of her father and Raijir about Rudeus also helps as well. But as I was watching this episode, I was thinking like, how would Rudeus even handle this situation? What would he even say to Norn, you know, especially after showcasing his brother and how his brother really tried everything in the book, but it seemed like nothing was landing to kind of talk to Rudeus at all out of leaving the house, you know. So I was so curious to know what Rudeus was going to say, and I think he said the best thing possible. Is like he basically just spoke from within, like spoke from the heart, just stating like the first thing that came to mind. Like he just spoke out of understanding and basically expressing that like he doesn't really know what to do, but like he just wants her to know that he's here for her, and he's gonna do everything he can to like try to understand her, basically, which is something I realized in recent time too, is that a lot of times someone who is like hurting and going through pain is not really looking for like a solution or advice or anything. They're just trying to see who's like really there for them for the most part. And Rudy is showing this vulnerability and doing so much to even like be in her presence just to express that he's there for her. I think that's the reason why he was able to get through to her and why they could start the process of repairing their relationship. Because like Rudy has said, like nothing really happened after that. Like nothing was said, and sometimes nothing needs to be said. Sometimes that reassurance, that support system is all a person needs, you know, and then they just solve it. It's like that comfort, you know, it's that ease. After leaving her father and Raijir, I'm assuming she didn't have that like the place to be like eased and comfortable around. Like she didn't really have no one to be comfortable around and to express herself, to feel safe around. So hopefully from now on, I hope we get to see more of Norn and actually understand her a little more as well. And of course this guy Rudy is thinking about his brother and his situation and how he should have handled himself. And that's why I was saying like this is kind of like part of the show is basically therapy for him, man. The healing process. It is very important to like take the time to look into the problems you've been running away from and just face it, you know. That's basically the message, and trying to understand your root problems, and sometimes that helps to understand others and what they're going through. But yeah, this episode for the most part was like a life lesson really about like internal trauma and everything like that, and like basically understanding yourself to understand others. You let me know your thoughts on this episode. I really enjoyed it. This is like a type of episode where I say is like it's not super duper major to the overall storyline, maybe to the plot in the grand scheme of things, but in a character level, in terms of understanding characters, and also in the terms of a sense of theme and meaning, I really like these types of episodes. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this episode. Let's have a discussion in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.